Welcome to my channel. My name is Ria and today we are going to discuss the new moon happening in the sign of Sagittarius. So let's get started. New moons bring in new energy. It's the beginning of the lunar month. It's when energy comes in that we work on for the next 28 days or so. So essentially it's a seeding point of energy. New beginnings start, right? And right before the new moon, we close out the last lunar month. So 2-3 days before the new moon, it's more like a closing out, release, that sort of thing. But now it's new energy coming in that's going to build up as the month progresses. Now this one's in the sign of Sagittarius. You can see 9 degrees of Sag. Now Sag as a sign is a very fun loving sign. It's about exploration, it's about adventure, it's about wisdom, philosophy, it's about learning things, right? It's a Jupiter ruled sign, so it's very expansive. It's very expansive. That being said, this moon is squaring Saturn. You can see Saturn here is at 12 degrees of Pisces and the moon is at 9 degrees. And what this means is that the moon will build up its square to Saturn, and so will the sun in the next 2 to 3 days, right? Saturn as a planet is about commitment, it's about decisions, it's about setting things in stone, it's about the long term, it's about getting organized in a way, right? It's a serious planet. It's also about persistence. It's also about not giving up. It's also about doing your duty no matter what, right? That is Saturn. Saturn can also bring delays, right? It can bring delays because if you are not mature enough, if you're not ready enough, Saturn will delay till you are ready or mature. So it can bring delays as well. Now, a square is a 90-degree angle which represents challenges, which represents change, which represents an energy that we must work through. We must challenge ourselves to make this energy work, right? It challenges us rather. Now, with Saturn, what this is telling me is that there is a need for us to be persistent and keep doing what we are doing, what we need to do, what we should be doing without giving up, right? Because that's another thing with Saturn. It's about not giving up. It's about being persistent. So that's the key theme here, right? And the key theme is also that this may feel a little stressful. It may feel a little stressful, especially 2 to 3 days after this moon might feel especially stressful because the sun will build up its square to Saturn, and we know that the sun and Saturn are not really friends, right? So as the sun moves past its square, the stress, the energy, the seriousness will go down. But the key here is to persist, to not give up, to keep going, to think for the long run, to plan, right? Here is not the time to do things because you feel like they're not working, because you feel like giving up, because you feel like it's too difficult. This is not the time to do that, because that is Saturn's test, right? Saturn says you must do what you must do no matter how hard it gets. You must do your duty, you must do the right thing, you must persist. So that's what we want to keep in mind. That's the key with this one. Now, that's what's happening. And in Sag is Jupiter, right? Expansive, and Saturn is restrictive. So in many ways, this is a contradictory energy that's playing out, because Sag wants to expand, wants to be free, wants to have fun, wants to explore. There's no long-term planning in a way, right? It's just more spur of the moment adventure. But Saturn here is restricting that energy. It's saying contain it, right? It's saying that use it in a more structured way. So that's what we need to do. We need to structure ourselves. We need to channel this Sag, which is expansive, which is about learning, which is about having fun, which is about adventure, into a more structured way, right? And for example, what can this mean? Okay, I'll give one example. This can mean, like, say you want to learn a subject, right? Sag likes to learn. You want to go to a city for an adventure, that sort of thing. Saturn here is saying, if you want to learn something, don't just do it when you feel like it. Don't just do it without a plan. Make a plan, make a structured plan to learn that something. So that's the kind of balance we need with this. But the key is persistence. And if delays happen, that means that we need to work on something. And if there is a decision, if there is something that we need to decide or commit to, we need to look at the long-term perspective. We need to look at how it's going to play out over many years and not give in to the instant gratification of that decision. Right? Maybe you take a decision where it feels good initially, temporarily, but the long-term outcome is not very good. So that's where we have to balance this out. Now, moving on to the next thing. That is the key with this moon, right? We also have a lot of retrograde energy. Mercury is now retrograde. Mercury is the planet of communication. It's the planet of gadgets and electronics and that sort of thing. So during Mercury retrograde, communication can slow down, gadgets can malfunction, that sort of thing can happen. And logic tends to not work at its best, right? Because Mercury, our mind, is moving backwards. It's more a time to review things that we've done to make those things better. So that's that. And not the best time to do something contract related if it's brand new. If it started before Mercury retrograde, that's fine. But that's what I wanted to mention. Also, we have Mars here, which is going to go retrograde on December 6th, right? So 5 days from now, Mars will retrograde. Mars retrogrades once in 2 years, right? Once in 2 years, almost. And this is also a personal planet. Mercury is a personal planet, Venus, and we have Mars, planets that retrograde. So now we have Mercury in retrograde, and Mars will go retrograde in 5 days' time. Mercury represents our mind, our logic, our intellect, communication, so that kind of slows down when it's retrograde. Mars represents taking action. It represents getting things done. It represents being impulsive. It also represents aggression, right? That's Mars. Mars is aggressive. And it is going to retrograde in an opposition to Pluto. Pluto is here. Pluto just changed signs. We'll talk more about that in a moment, but it's going to retrograde. And what this means is that we must really review all the actions that we have taken recently, especially, and make those better. And Mars will go direct next year, 2025. So till then, we may feel like things are not moving, right? We may feel that because Mars can make us feel like we're not able to take that action. But that's not what we must do. We must take action on things we've already started, things that are already in motion. We must take those things, make those better. So that's where we want to channel the Mars energy into doing things, into taking action, into things that have already started for us. For example, if you started a business recently, for example, right? You want to go and make that business better, then launch a new business venture right now. Right? You can alternatively maybe do the background work for the new business. So a good time to go back to something you've already started and make it better. Now let's talk about a few more things that I talk about in pretty much every video. So we do have this Venus building up its conjunction to Pluto. Venus is the planet of love, relationships, finances, and it is going to meet Pluto, the planet of transformation, the planet of change, in Aquarius. And what this can mean is that we might be anticipating or building up to changes connected to relationships, finances, and self-worth. That's building up, and Pluto feels intense. Pluto can feel very intense. What I want to talk about now is the fact that Pluto is in a new sign. On 20th November, it changed signs, and now it's in Aquarius for good for the next 2 decades almost. And this means a big chapter from 2008 has closed out. New chapters are starting. Pluto is slow, so it's a slow beginning. And if you remember in the last video also, I had said that The outer planets Uranus and Neptune are also at the end degrees of the signs they are transiting right now, which means they're ready to enter new signs. And when they do enter new signs, which is more next year, we will see more themes shift. So right now, a lot of the new is coming in, right, with Pluto changing signs, but it's slow. It's not fully there, and it's going to take time for us to build up to that change. And next year, with the two outer planets changing signs as well, more changes coming through. So we are at the end of cycles, and we've begun one new cycle, and more will start next year. So transition time is going on. We also have Mercury retrograde. We have Mars that will go retrograde 5 days from this moon. And next year, we also have Venus retrograde, right? So with these retrogrades, till April, we'll be in heavy retrograde energy, which means time to really review and work on things that we've already started, make them better. And to sum up this moon, I would say with the square to Saturn building up, it might feel a little stressful for the next 2 to 3 days, but this can be a decision point, but more it's about being persistent, sticking to what you must need to do, doing your duty, and not giving up, right? These are the key things with Saturn. Saturn actually wants us to work hard. That's what it wants, right? It wants us to understand that no matter how you feel the moon, you must work hard, right? Towards what you need to do, what is right for you. So that's the big lesson with Saturn. And I hope this video was helpful. I will see you guys next time. Have a great day. Bye.